What's up, everybody? So I'm going to play this clip now. This is Michael Hayes talking about Bret Hart. This was on Ric Flair's podcast. I don't think Ric Flair still has a podcast. I'm not sure. Anyway, here it is.
Do that, and just to kind of just close up the Bret thing.
What's that?
Terry said just to close, the window on the Bret thing. I mean, Terry and Buddy aren't here. I don't think. I know he wouldn't have said that to their face if they were here. So, if you're not going to say something to somebody's face, let's just keep it to yourself. It'd been just as easy to say, I'm a little disappointed in the WWE Hall of Fame. I think people that are in there should have had a career in the WWE, and here's who I think should be in. Bam. And even if you wanted to say, I think they deserve to be in more than the Freebirds, man, I'm fine with that. You start going to the drunks and the pill heads, and a lot of that information is wrong. I told most of these stories on the JBL Legends program, back in March. Andre the Giant never fired us, okay? He probably wanted to. He probably had every reason to, because he had a lot to do with us going to New York, and, we screwed that up. But nonetheless, Andre didn't fire us. We walked out. Vince called me. I went back. Buddy went back. Shots we had. Then on the way to Japan, which was already booked, I called Dave Wolf, and he said, Vince is not going to hire you back. He can't trust you. And that was that. But it was Vince that fired us. It wasn't Andre. That's just, and plus the town Brett's talking about, and we can get them all screwed up because we're all in so many, wasn't Providence. It was Youngstown, Ohio.
Well, I didn't hear all that. It didn't matter. I'm like you, Mike. Just like you can either, here's what bothers me is you're gonna have to see Bret at WrestleMania and that, and why should there ever be an uncomfortable minute? Does that make sense?
Well,
like Bret and I talk and we corrected things, and I never said shit about Bret, but he used to crack on me all the time. Okay, so I never paid attention to it because I thought, hell, how do you crack on me? Does that make sense? What have I done?
Yeah. Well,
except go to work every day.
Right.
But anyway, it's all good.
Yeah, but like the vendetta with Seth Rollins, you can't find anybody in the locker room that would not want to work with Seth Rollins.
Exactly.
Nobody. And ask John Cena what happened with the nose thing. John will tell you it was my fault. Sting had this perennial neck problem that he's
of course
years of wrestling, and then the thing with Finn Balor. Finn, you're supposed to take that thing on your shoulders, on your back. Finn put his arm back there to brace it, and there it went. And lo and behold, when the operation took so much longer because of all the wear and tear and how messed up his shoulder was to begin with for 15 years of wrestling. Yeah, but that's all Seth Rollins' fault.
Okay, so what he was referring to on that last part was Bret did a shoot interview where he kind of buried Seth Rollins. Now, this was years ago, where he was saying Seth Rollins injures everybody. He injured Sting, Finn Balor, John Cena. But most people have come to defend Seth Rollins. Everyone likes Seth Rollins. Everyone likes working with Seth Rollins. And I think, I don't know if they've made amends, Bret and Seth Rollins, but here's a funny story behind like that shoot interview. It was that one and a couple of other ones like Bret had done years ago, right? He had done them a while back. People started reposting them. I was one of those people because if you guys remember, I had other wrestling shoot channels on YouTube that have since been taken down for reused content because I don't appear in them and I don't talk. I was just sharing the clips. So, and Bret went off on people like sharing those clips, like trying to pass them off as new. He's like, people sharing clips like they're new. And I said that years ago. Well, here's the thing. Like, don't say shit. Like, if you don't say shit, people won't have anything to show. Like, that. But as far as, like, Bret and Ric Flair getting along, let me get rid of this picture. I'll show you this one, there's Bret at Ric Flair's last match. So we know that Bret and Rick have buried the hatchet and they're on friendly terms. I think it stemmed to back when Bret dropped the title to Ric Flair in Saskatoon back in like 92, whenever that was. Yeah, 92. And Ric Flair didn't want the match to be aired on TV. Which is why it was never aired on WWF programming. It was a Coliseum home video exclusive. I think you can go see it on Peacock now, but I've never tried to seek it out or anything. Anyway, well, the reason why Ric Flair didn't want that match on TV was because he didn't think it was a good match because Ric Flair was hurt. He was injured. Well, he wasn't injured. He has that inner ear thing, and thought he was going to have to retire, and then it fixed itself. But I think Bret held animosity towards Ric Flair for years after that because of that. And then, like, yeah, I don't know. Bret likes to, like, just talk trash. and good for him, man. I don't know. You're old, you're retired, you're allowed to be a jerk if you want to. I would love to see, like, you know, the whole Goldberg thing. And Steven Richards does a really good video about, like, how it wasn't Goldberg's fault in the match with Bret. And Bret went on to have, like, a bunch of other matches after that match with Goldberg. He had, like, 7 more matches in WCW. Check that out. Check that video out on Steven Richards' channel. But I would love to see, like, Bret and Goldberg finally sit down and talk it out and bury the hatchet. Because Goldberg's even the one to admit, like, yeah, he felt bad and he screwed that up, but Goldberg was also green. I don't know. I'm just going off and on about Goldberg and Bret and all that. Well, this was Michael Hayes, and Bret didn't like Michael Hayes. I guess he didn't like the Freebirds because they were a bunch of party animals and liked to do drugs. Meanwhile, Bret was doing drugs at the same time, but never mind that. I guess because Bret was showing up for work on time and the Freebirds weren't. I don't know. Let me know, guys, what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.